I first want to preface this video by saying I love Genshin Impact. The battles are fun, the character models are beautiful, the world is vast, and the story is enjoyable. When I first installed the game and I dropped off in Mondstadt, I knew I was going to enjoy my time in the world of Teyvat. I first started playing Genshin as the pandemic was winding down, somewhere around version 3.0. When I first started the game, the world seemed massive in scale. I scrolled through the map and I saw the world from Mondstadt to Inazuma and circled over to Sumeru. At first it was overwhelming, but eventually I got enthralled in the gameplay, was sucked into the lore, and to be honest, I didn't see any of the negative aspects because I was enjoying my time with the game. There was so much to do and so much world to explore, and building my characters were enjoyable. Spending my free time with the game was satisfying, and when I pulled my first 5-star, Raiden Shogun by the way, I was elated. So if I was so happy with the game, what happened? Well, a few months before Fontaine was to be released, I had finished all of the Archon quests to this point, opened up every chest I was willing to look for, and completed every side quest I could find, even the Aranara quest. Yes, I found them all. I ended up making up stuff to do while I was starved for content. I started leveling up characters I didn't use simply to get basic pulls. I was gathering material, beating the weekly bosses to collect billets, and eventually just farming artifacts to try and max out my Raiden. However, during this grind, I came to the realization that this was getting boring, and it was starting to wear on me. Luckily, 4.0 was released shortly after the tedium took over, and it was a breath of fresh air. However, I found myself purposely slowing down my progress to the story so that the content would last longer. But that became annoying because I was really enjoying the story of Farina and Nouvelle, and I wanted to see how it played out. Before long, I was back to a complete lack of content with weeks before the next update. The tedium had returned. It was at this point my curiosity started to take me elsewhere for other gacha games. So, where does one go to look for when they're curious about new gacha games? Well, I would go what any adult goes to, YouTube, obviously. So, during my trip down the rabbit hole of YouTube, I came across a gentleman by the name of Tectone. Now, I'm well aware of his views towards Genshin. However, he's not referenced here because of that. I mentioned him because while listening to one of his videos, he started speaking about a game called Wuthering Waves. Granted, this game was still months away from release, but he was explaining how Kuro Games was a superb developer, and that they have proven this with the quality of another of their games, Punishing Grey Raven. So I figured, why not? What would the harm be in trying this new game? And I was blown away by the quality of the game, the quality of the gameplay, the detailed design of the characters, the frenetic pace of the combat. I was hooked. Additionally, I saw how generous they were with their resources, with banned characters having a 100% chance to pull if they were featured. It was beautiful. I figured if they can do this on a small budget, I can only imagine what they can do if they really put their all into a game like Wuthering Waves. So, after months of waiting, the day finally came. May 22nd, 2024, Wuthering Waves was upon us, and one thing stuck out to me right from the start. The drastically detailed character models presented to me. Gone were the cartoonish looks from the previous game, and now we have a more mature looking main character with a supporting cast to boot. The world had a darker mood and tone to it, but I honestly saw it as mature. Then I started traversing the world and I realized I was able to sprint without losing stamina, and it was that little touch that started to hook me. But that to me paled in comparison to what happened next. I come up to a cliff, I'm preparing for a long drawn out climb, and I'm thinking, if I hit the sprint button, there'll be a small jump up just like with Genshin. And to my surprise, instead of a jump, my character starts to sprint up the side of a mountain. What I thought was going to be a prolonged endeavor instead was over in a matter of seconds. Kudo was starting to win me over little by little. But then came the next bombshell. In Genshin, you have characters that are capable of slicing through gods with as little as a sword. But for some strange reason, they draw the line at small patches of rocks. And unless you have a Claymore or Zhongli, you'll be smacking rocks for a while before they break. In Wuthering Waves, a sword can do just as good of a job as a claymore, and it's beautiful. No more having to switch out to a character who has a weapon that literally nobody wanted to use at the time. Sorry, Noel mains. This game, off the basis of the small quality of life changes, had me hooked. Sure, the voice actor needed some work during the story, but the quality of life changes, the generosity of the developers, and the quality of the combat and the character models meant a lot to me. I never really cared about the generosity of the developers until I realized that it was only really Genshin that was being cheap. Honkai Star Rail was generous. Nikkei was generous in my eyes. And now Wuthering Waves was just making it rain 10 pulls and 5 stars to keep everyone happy, so as they ironed out the wrinkles that were there during launch. And we didn't have to wait for a new release to see these changes. Thanks, Kuro Games. So what does the future hold for me? Well, I've uninstalled Genshin a couple of months ago and I haven't really looked back. I've been having a great time with Wuthering Waves, and even when the content slowed down, the tedium of the dailies and using my stamina hasn't really been too harsh on me like it was with Genshin. I can log on, finish everything in a few minutes, and go on with my life. And once new story missions are dropped, I'm continually impressed with the increase in quality. Black Shore's story was the biggest highlight to me so far. What can I say? I'm a sucker for a good love story when it includes my main character. So what does that mean for me now? Will I ever come back to Genshin? Especially with Natlin out? I'm not sure. Maybe. I still remember the good times I had with Genshin, and my characters are still pretty strong, with my Raiden and Risley being my two highlights of the account. But for now, I don't feel like reinstalling such a monster of a game storage-wise, and I have to be more selective with my time. And trying to play both Wuthering Waves and Genshin will be overwhelming. For now, I'll stick to my main and my secondary gacha game and just enjoy what I have in front of me now. Now, this video wasn't meant to bash on Genshin, just point out the improvements I saw from one over the other and simply telling you why I chose to stop playing it. Ultimately, play what you love, enjoy the games you choose to play, and I wish you the best in your decision. Thanks everyone for watching my video, and if you like what you saw, please leave a like and comment down below, and I'll see you next time. Take care.